What's up, you pencil neck geeks? Welcome to the world famous comedy store. This is the Store Horsemen podcast. This is the voice of the Darkitect speaking. We're back, bitch. To my left, the woken Matt Edgar. What's up, guy?
Here we are again, my old friend.
Yes. Let's do it again. You ready?
I've missed all of you.
We missed you.
Likewise.
For sure. And to his left, the beautifully abundant buttocks of the Golden Pony, Tony Hinchcliffe.
10 pounds heavier than I've ever been. I'm up in weight classes, and I'm taking all the straps.
That's it.
And I'm not taking any craps. Wake and bake like an Omaha steak. Let's do this.
Ew. I love it. To his left, the delective. What can I even say?
All those words.
All those words.
All of them.
Just
All of them.
Delectable, delicacy.
beautiful. Johnny,
Disgusting.
the enforcer,
Delicious.
scored us.
Enforcer,
What's
yes.
up, dude?
I'm doing great. How
You
are
look
you?
great.
Thank you. I
look
always look
amazing.
fucking great. You guys never
Jesus.
compliment me enough on how goddamn
Literally
good
the
I
first
look
thing I said to him when I got here.
Yeah.
the time.
Seriously.
No, I
Okay.
never look like this.
You
No.
do look like a U.S. champion.
I've been
Yeah,
drinking
yeah.
a lot of water,
Yeah. You look like if something terrible happened
been
on
doing my DDP yoga,
Yeah.
red hot core.
I
He
love
doesn't. I wouldn't say he looks like a
Sore.
U.S. champion, but he definitely looks like an American.
it.
Yeah, right.
And to his left, the evil genius Eddie Firth. What's up, dude?
What's going on, guys? Good to see you again. This is it's been too long.
It has
Yeah.
for the first time in podcast history since with those lost episodes, we took some time off.
What do you
From
mean
recording.
lost episodes?
Remember when we used to do it back in Sacred
yeah.
Ground? We did like 2 of those, and then they disappeared forever. But
But
whatever, we're fucking back, okay? That Wally Appleseed or whatever guy who keeps DMing us, Jesus Christ, dude, we're back. Here we are. You happy? You excited?
No way,
I hope
that's
you
a
are.
real person.
I mean, whatever. That's his like handle or whatnot.
It's a bot.
But yeah, I keep getting hit up like, yo, Chris, this guy keeps fucking messaging us. I'm like, what do you want me to do? We're back. Here we go. Guys, a lot of shit went down since we last recorded. The fucking year ended.
Wow. Look at that. The audio changed in the room. You can hear everybody in the hallway now.
Yeah, it's true. That's
It's
true.
exciting stuff.
And already some exciting things have happened in 2020. New Japan Pro Wrestling had their annual fucking Wrestle Kingdom.
Did you watch it live?
No, I watched it after the fact on New Japan World. I was not going to watch 2 days of Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah, they did 2 days for the
Why
first
wouldn't
time
it be
ever.
Wrestle Empire?
What about Wrestle Dynasty?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why? Because Vince doesn't run it. Because he doesn't
Yeah,
need to one up every
exactly.
Great balls of kingdom.
time. Wrestle Empire. What about Wrestle Universe?
Right.
Wrestle balls.
Why not just wrestle?
For sure. Oh, and you heard that voice. That's the jabroni Josh Martin, who I'm already forgetting is back there in 2020.
New year, old habits.
Yep.
Same old habits. Just keep forgetting me.
Ain't nothing changed about the Store Horsemen, ladies and gentlemen. We're back in full fucking effect. I didn't even really plan fucking anything to talk about because there's just so much that that's on my mind about
You know what's
wrestling.
been on my mind
Talk
since
to
we're
me.
getting the episode going?
Yeah.
And I've been thinking a lot because it's winter time.
Yeah.
A lot of us are healthier than ever. It was something Johnny's kept out about this new glowing look is he's been consuming a lot of Infinite CBD.
Oh.
Infinite CBD cures anxiety, depression. It helps you sleep at night. It wakes you up in the morning. There's tons of different products. Go to infinitecbd.com to find out more.
I love it. I love
I
it.
can speak personally to that. I cope with Crohn's disease, and I had a recent flare up, and I took a lot of Infinite CBD, and it actually
No shit.
corrected me, got me better. My doctor was happy about it. Yeah, the colonoscopy came back clean.
Oh, yeah.
But the CBD works. Like, look.
Yep.
For
I
real.
gave him a lot of my extra stuff that I don't use.
I thought you were going to say
No,
you
it
gave him a
works.
colonoscopy.
Yeah.
Well, he did.
Dr. Hinchcliffe.
Dr. Hinchcliffe said I was clear.
Gotta get that old colonoscopy.
If the
that-
glove don't fit, use your bare hand.
Yeah. Usually you wait till you're like 40 or 45. I've already had like 5 of them.
Amazing.
It's great.
Wow.
You guys been watching any wrestling over this break?
Absolutely. Been watching YouTube clips. Been watching
Mm-hmm.
old wrestling. Been listening to Talk Is Jericho.
Yeah.
And representing
Talk is Jericho, baby.
baby. Yeah. That guy's got more sponsors than fucking
Believe that.
Jesus,
Tony
than
Hawk.
a koala bear in a Australian forest fire. This
He's
fucking
got more
guy.
sponsors than a Bellator fighter.
Yeah.
He's the NASCAR of podcasts.
My goodness
Just a car
gracious.
filled with stickers.
It's always like this guy knows how to keep you locked in too, right? He'll be like, someone will be on. Stone Cold will be like, now let me tell you how I really came up with the stunner. And Chris is like, I really want to know that, but
Yeah.
before we do,
yeah.
let's talk about the New England
Yeah.
teddy bear.
Yeah, 1 second, Blue Meanie. It's time we talk about Blue Chew.
That's right. Man.
You don't have to worry about that with us because we only have one sponsor, Infinite CBD. And when to be honest with you, anyway, let's just keep it moving.
Well, I mean, he is La Champion, and Chris Jericho actually made headlines with his involvement at Wrestle Kingdom 14 because for the first time ever, he took on Tanahashi, who is, basically they call him the John Cena of Japan. This is the first time they ever faced each other, and beforehand, Tanahashi cut a promo saying that if he beat Jericho, he wanted a title shot at the AEW Championship, which is the first time AEW has been mentioned on New Japan programming ever since, Omega and the Bucks and Cody and all those guys took off. And the word, behind the scenes has been that there's been sort of animosity between the two companies, basically, for that being formed. But this was the first time that there ever seemed to be some sort of sign of any kind of working relationship. But depending on who you ask, it either looks promising that they'll be working together in the future or not so promising. It seems like the Young Bucks are not about it. Cody just did an interview for the New York Post saying that he was open to it. It's just a matter of, he doesn't know how much different it would look than the match that we saw between
It's
Tanahashi
just
and
subtitles
Jericho.
at the bottom, right?
Yeah,
The
basically.
Japanese character.
Yeah. But I don't know. It seems to be one of those things that people are talking about is something that AEW might need, considering their criticism of their bench not being that heavy. You bring in guys like fucking Okada and
Yeah, and
Naito
Japan is a sumo
and-
culture anyways.
Yeah,
so.
there you go. There you go. I mean, what do you think about a potential partnership between AEW and New Japan, or do you think that they should just keep it separate?
No, I mean it's like these are the big companies that that have all the indies guys in it already.
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't they?
Sure.
Where did I hear like if anybody ever wanted to compete against WWE, they'd all get together?
That was me
Okay.
on this podcast.
Where did you hear that?
I mean, it's
No.
just a thought. It's
But-
like,
Yeah, I think they should totally do that. I always loved when things like that. Like I loved when ECW came on to Raw.
Yeah.
If it feels like it's an almost inevitable, because to me it's such an obvious choice, and not even it doesn't speak to me to anything as strongly as it does that that's the one thing that you can do to set yourself apart, like that kind of crossover effect. That's literally what WWE tries with SmackDown and Raw, to have separate brands that then cross over. But here's a real life scenario where at Wrestle Kingdom and at one of the all in, whatever AEW is going to call it, one of their big shows, like you get just this tangential back and forth a little. It doesn't have to be every week. It doesn't have to be every month. But when you build to a big event like this or something during the summer, it makes so much more sense.
well,
Oh, yeah.
it's an interesting situation because it's like a couple of guys in AEW have it in their contract that they can wrestle in Japan. John Moxley wrestled twice. He wrestled both nights, Wrestle Kingdom. He beat Lance Archer for the New Japan, the IWGP United States title on Saturday. Then he defended it against Juice Robinson on that Sunday, walked away, still the U.S. champion there. And then, like I said, Chris Jericho obviously fought against Tanahashi, defeated Tanahashi, so there will be no AEW title shot. Oh, perhaps, because afterwards in his interview he said he'd give him a title shot anytime. He had so much fun wrestling him. So there's already that kind of thing. But then as far as like an official working relationship, New Japan has worked with Ring of Honor for years and years and years up to this point. And they actually lost their TV deal because they refused a working relationship with Impact. They were on what's it, Access TV? That's Mark Cuban's network. So they had a television show there, But the parent company of Axis owns Impact, and so they just put Impact onto Axis as well. And they told New Japan that they could keep their television show, but they would have to develop a working relationship with Impact and have some guys cross over. And New Japan said no.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
If we can somehow get New Japan guy on the line.
Oh, he's always listening.
Yeah. Does he think it's inevitable that AEW and New Japan form an alliance?
Nothing is inevitable.
Oh, my goodness. I told you.
Inevitability lies within your opponent's heart,
Is this the Tao of
Your
New Japan guy?
opponent's soul. If we go to a XCC TV, we be in a big trouble.
Uh-huh.
Over in the New Japani, you have to get the New Japani network,
Yeah.
and you have to subscribe it, and then you get the New Japani. We don't give it away yet. Everything has a price. You want the extra content? You must pay. You want the extra sweet and sour? You must pay. You want the extra chopstick? You must pay. You will pay. $9.99.
Yeah. So, thank you, New Japan guy.
You are welcome.
Arigato.
Saturday Night Live.
What?
Live from New York. It is a Saturday, all right.
But
Isn't that how you don't get on Saturday Night Live?
That's what he's
I
saying.
think that's
the
the
one time
jokey-
he's going to be able
jokey
to say
poo.
it.
Chris Benoit.
Oh, what?
Chris Benoit dilemma. That is what we are dealing with.
Is that what?
Chris Benoit dilemma. CBD.
Oh,
Infinite
okay.
CBD cures my anxiety.
Oh my God.
It helps me throughout the day. I think I clear focus.
Look, all those.
What, Tony?
It's me, Tony.
Yeah, New Japan guy got cut off there. Go ahead.
All those guys are always gonna want to wrestle in Japan because it's fun,
Mhm.
and you know what I mean. I'm sure they could combine, but New Japan's gonna cover their costs. It's all business stuff.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the heart and the wrestling and the
You're
competing.
gonna see Okada on Wednesday night
Yeah.
on Dynamite before the summer. That's good.
Yeah.
That's going to be their big summer program. Okada comes in and does something with somebody, him against Cody. It doesn't even matter.
Maybe.
It's a no-brainer and it works for everybody. That's, to me, that starts to excite me a little bit more about AEW. If that starts to happen and
Yeah.
you see Okada come and challenge, and then you see that, then they're shipping Cody back out and this crossover and Luchasaurus winds up like that. That interests me about AEW.
But I mean, people thought that it was kind of a no-brainer for the Impact situation. It's like you're on the same network. Well, you had initially been on the same network. Impact has drastically changed their reputation over the last few years, but they apparently, I don't know, how much credence you can give this, but apparently they're still very upset for when they did talent exchanges with Impact when it was still TNA many, many years ago. I don't know if you remember, like the Bucks were Generation Me when they were in Impact.
Okada came to-
was
yeah.
in Impact, and they treated him like a jobber, and New Japan has never forgiven them for that. And so it's like,
Did they just send Scott Steiner over a bunch of times?
Scott Steiner just showed up on NWA Power this week, believe it or not.
What?
Freakzilla is in the house on the goddamn Billy Corgan show.
They gave him a microphone?
Yeah.
That makes sense. No one likes smashing pumpkins more than Scott Steiner when he's angry around the Halloween time.
For sure. For sure.
Damn it, get these pumpkins out of here.
I think that New Japan working with AEW is going to be it's very different. First, you have completely different players involved. You have a legit billionaire backing it with real credibility, owning an NFL team. You have
Yep.
guys like Cody and Jericho and Omega, where even if they feel a little spurned, they have real relationships with them, and it's on a much bigger stage.
Yeah.
We're not talking about a network you couldn't even name. It's TNT. They're in arenas taping it. Like, it's a way different than the soundstage of Impact. So
Yeah.
it just seems like an inevitability to me. I'm excited for the night Okada does show up.
Yeah. I mean, shit. What's Omega's best friend's name? Is it the Golden Lover guy?
Kota Ibushi.
Kota Ibushi, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, there's plenty to do there. There's
Yeah.
plenty to do with the Bullet Club still. That storyline never fully played out between the Elite and Bullet Club. There's a lot to do.
There's also a big market for, since WWE isn't in Japan yet. That's where AEW can make their mark. Like WWE has their mark in the UK
Yeah.
right now in NXT UK. they don't have anything in Japan, and so AEW can get that first leg up over WWE just by having something going on in Japan.
Well, see, to
Josh,
me,
I'm sorry, you lost me at big market.
yeah.
Also, wait, isn't WWE in Japan? They've run shows there.
They've run
is the
sh-
They
network
run
not
shows every
available?
now and then, but they don't have like a. They
They-
don't have an NXT in
They
Japan.
tried to buy.
Yeah, yeah.
They tried to buy a local promotion in Japan,
Yeah.
and they turned them down because they wanted to turn it into NXT Japan, but they got turned down. But New Japan was able to purchase Stardom, which is the all-female wrestling promotion in Japan, and so now they're going to slowly start introducing female wrestling in New Japan, which they had never done before.
Who's the big star that they picked up from that?
I don't even know. I mean, they swallowed the whole promotion,
Yeah.
so the whole promotion's still going to run.
I
And
just didn't know if
they
there was
made
someone
it-
who's like, that's
apparently-
the name, like the next so-and-so, where we'd be like, oh, that's who we're going
Yeah.
to be watching
Or
for
they-
a
Well,
while.
apparently they're poised to make really big offers to bring Io Shirai and Kairi Sane back to Stardom. Actually, once their contracts expire.
Will they make like a name change, like New Japan Pro Wrestling presents Revolution
I don't know. I think they're gonna keep. I think they're
or
gonna keep it as
Evolution?
Stardom.
I mean, is it? Yeah, Evolution.
Yeah, it was Evolution.
If I look, the idea of free agency for Kairi Sane and Io Shirai, I can't say they're doing phenomenally, but they're also not getting buried. Like they're getting some time and some shots.
Yeah, tonight Io Shirai is the main person for the NXT title right now.
Yeah.
You know, and
But
that
apparently,
between Rhea Ripley is gonna be fucking great.
I guess we'll see where that goes because I guess the idea is that they're not making as much in NXT as they were in Japan.
Oh wow!
So if they get like a
Okay.
main roster bump,
Yeah.
then it kind of makes more sense for them to stay. But
Even
if
I
not-
guess Kairi Sane's in a tag, but
Yeah.
maybe she's.
But we'll see. But well, we broached on the subject for a second there. I always thought that would be the fucking nail in the coffin for AEW if WWE got a working relationship with New Japan. What the fuck would that look like? Like, could those styles even mesh? Do you think? Like, New Japan treats it so damn seriously, like it's a sport. There's some funny shit that happens.
I mean, what could the WWE gain from it?
I mean, that I feel like that'd be the bullet in the head to AEW.
Yeah,
honestly.
But I mean, what would they get out of it? Like-
It's not like AEW is like, blowing WWE away.
They're not, but it's one of those things where it's the Disney acquisition of Marvel. It's like when I was working at the Walt Disney Company, the biggest problem we had was we had no brands that appealed to young men. Like everything was like girls and teens and tweens and that kind of thing. So, when they purchased Marvel, it was like they solved that problem right then and there. Where WWE always gets killed is in that demographic of young males, and AEW beats them every single week in that demographic as far as ratings are concerned. You bring in an entity like New Japan, where it's cool, it's different, it's hard nosed, and you get things like fucking Seth Rollins versus Naito. You know what I'm saying? Fucking the Great Muta versus the Undertaker. You know what I mean? There's all kind of crazy shit that could happen. And
You can get
it's just
Roman-
something very different.
Just feels like it'd be more likely for them to sign that person than either create a relationship or buy them out. Like it would seem almost unnecessary.
They've done
and that-
stranger things. Like he
Yeah.
brought up the ECW working relationship they had just
Yeah.
purely to fuck with WCW at the time. You know what I
Well,
mean?
they
It's
did.
like-
I mean, in that instance, they also used ECW as a feeder
Yeah.
system. Like that was a, on the sly, that was one of their developmental systems.
Totally.
And with New Japan, it seems like they could do that, but ultimately, the size of the corporation just dictates that instead of anything, they wait until the guy's contract's up and sign them. And it's almost like a feeder system naturally of like,
Yeah.
okay, AJ's there, he's doing well. When his deal's up, we could just.
but it could be a way
Yeah.
for them to grow their international audience. And let's not forget,
especially in Japan, which
Yeah.
there's a big wrestling fan base in Japan, and if they
Yeah.
they try to get into Japan and they're struggling,
yeah,
why not try to maybe create that
and don't
just to find a
forget,
way in?
they
you know?
had a working relationship back in the day, as
Yeah.
late as 1993. Hulk Hogan fought the Great Muta
Mhm.
for each other's world title.
I watched that. the
Yeah,
other
like
night.
that happened.
And
Yeah.
they
Can
they
you-
did with All Japan
Yeah,
also.
yeah,
It
for
was
sure.
a much different. I will say this might sound like an odd comparison. I would believe that Disney buys WWE before WWE buys New Japan.
I don't think
Do
they
you know
would
what I
buy
mean?
New
Like,
Japan.
There's no, it's not
But
the same.
Can you imagine a match
No.
Roman Reigns
Don't
versus
embarrass
John
me.
Moxley?
Yes.
Just Roman
would
Reigns
watch
versus John Moxley would
I'd
be
watch,
great.
Roman Reigns and Ishii. Are you kidding me? The two of them for 20 minutes just beating the shit out of each other.
Just Tanahashi versus fucking
Although
John Cena.
Roman Reigns and Okada is the more interesting one.
Have
to
we
me.
ever had Don Barris on this show?
No.
Hey, let's call
Bring
Don
him
in
in.
here. The great Don Barris is
Don
out
Barris
there.
is outside the door waving at us.
Gonna break up some of this Obayashi. Talk
This is the
here.
most we've talked about Japan
Yeah.
since that episode where we watched Wrestle Kingdom.
I love it. Way to lock the listeners right into their seats.
I mean,
the,
it was
the two 16-year-old boys jerking off in Japan right now. Love this. Hey, Don, grab Don. Should I get
Someone
Don?
just said Reigns versus Tomotonga would be
Don.
great.
Hey, Josh, can you get Don's attention?
Somebody
open
just
the door.
looked at me and then walked out of the pathway.
But no, yeah, come on in. There he is. The great Don
Hey,
Barris. in
Don
the building.
Barris.
Yeah.
What's up, man?
First of all, I'm super
Have a
shy,
seat
so I
for a
don't know what
second.
to say.
Eddie, share a mic with Chris for a moment.
Yeah, have a
Yeah,
seat.
we want you to sit down, Don. We're doing a wrestling podcast. We want to talk with you
know
about
who I shook hands with today?
who?
John Cena.
Wow.
look
Look at that.
Hell yeah, I'm
This
cool.
is what we're talking about. We were just talking. John Cena's name was just said on the podcast. You're in the game. You work at Jimmy Kimmel every day.
Yep, and I'm in the audience warm up there.
Yep.
And at the end, I shook his hand, hoping he recognized me.
What was the handshake like? Did he pull you in and go face to
He's like,
face?
he didn't see him.
challenge you.
I didn't kiss him.
Oh, look at
I
that.
almost acted like I wasn't even there. What is this podcast?
This is the Store Horsemen, Down. This is
And
a
who's-
wrestling podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And why is Josh in the other room?
Well,
He's
you
not
know,
allowed in here.
No, yeah.
It's like a steel
He's
cage
our
match.
schizo.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. This is fun.
I love it.
So, what would you like to ask? I'll tell you anything.
Actually, you know what I just remembered? One of the times that you took me and Tony to Kimmel with you, the guest was Hulk Hogan. Remember that, Tony?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that
Fucking
is
A.
incredible.
I was telling him last night, I just saw an old videotape. Do you remember that Joe guy that worked at Macy's and now does
The older guy with like
older
the,
guy?
only
He,
the
he
sides
does
of his
the
hair.
roast battle a lot.
He's an older, like sort of like loopy old guy.
But he was on the
Bald.
Ding Dong show at one point, and he quit. And the reason he quit because I had him do an improv scene, and he was a butterfly collector, and he was showing the two of you guys his butterfly collection, and he was chasing you around with his shirt off.
Oh my God.
And then he quit, thinking that, I don't like this angle they're taking me.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I do remember that. I do remember
He
that.
didn't remember it last
Good times chasing butterflies.
I was stoned to the gullets.
One
trying
time,
to think of it.
one time you're on stage with Blink 182. You invited me. They were my favorite band. And while you're up there, you're like,
It's
"Hey,
funny.
everybody!"
Can I just say something? It's funny because I'm Blink 182's favorite warm-up guy.
There it is. Connections.
You did the same thing where you're like, "Hey, everybody, keep it down. There's a butterfly collector in the crowd."
Have you met any other wrestlers that stand out to you that you had any moments with or any interactions?
Oh, yeah, Margot Robbie.
Wrestler?
Oh, I just.
That's a
sorry.
celebrity.
I'm on board. I'm on board.
Mind. She's very pretty.
That's another one.
I've been to Margot Robbie.
Never had The Rock over at Kimmel or anything like
The
that?
Rock has been, but I don't meet everybody.
Right.
I wanted to shake John Cena's hand because didn't he used to have a TV show?
Well, he's on Monday
Wrestling.
Night Raw every
Right.
Yeah.
But was he in charge of it? Did he do
He
a
was.
show?
He's a many time. He's
Yeah.
tied with Ric Flair basically for
16-time champion.
Yeah.
He was also on Total Bellas, the reality show on E!
That was what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
On that, somebody from that show, one of the girls that was on that show,
Nikki
Got-
Bella probably.
probably got in touch with me and said, "Hey, we are big fans of the Big Three, so if you ever do anything, we'd like to be involved."
Wow.
Yeah, but now I have no. And so I was kind of hoping. That's the reason I went up to shake his hand, hoping hey, it's done.
No
did
such
not
luck?
happen the way I thought it might. So,
He didn't see you.
no. Oh, you did the hand. He does that, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's funny because tonight he was brought on, and what he did, this isn't live, is it?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Facebook Live.
Whew. So I should
Spoilers.
I shouldn't
Argus
spoil-
Hamilton's probably watching right now.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you, these kids are really doing something special.
Mitzi loves them. I love them. You love them. Here they are.
Mitz will love them for good.
What
Should
were
I
you
leave
saying?
now? If I, no, I can't tell the
Oh,
story
okay.
because if it's on, I don't want to get in trouble.
All
But
good.
What he does on the show tonight, but
Good.
boy, he just becomes animated.
Yeah.
And I'll say this:
He's a real
the
performer.
big hammer, he was crushing things.
Yeah.
But he'd go to the camera before and I'll tell you this. And
Yeah.
he's just doing all his wrestling stuff. And I
Yeah.
go, wow. He
You just
broke
turn it on.
that character.
He's a
And
star.
right. He is a star.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't.
Did you ever spend time with Roddy when he was here?
When he was here?
Yeah.
Piper, yeah.
Oh, let me tell you this. I've met a lot of people through this journey of show business. Without question, he was the classiest dude ever. And the way that he kind of came here, even before Steve Simone, there was a guy, Mike August, who was kind of helping him get his career going. And he and Jimmy's cousin Sal asked me to kind of bring him over to the Comedy Store. And he would start to talk to me and start talking about writing material. And I don't know if you guys know, I don't write material. That's bullshit. That's for the pussies that do it the hard way.
Yeah, I was the one that tried to help Piper write material.
Well,
I'm one of the pussies.
At first, I was just bringing him here.
Right.
And then I said, you should talk to Steve Simone. And then, but every time I saw him after that, this guy was so wonderful because Steve Simone, who, I've never seen him say anything nice about anybody. But he was saying the nicest things in the world about me. And he would tell Roddy Piper that. And so Piper would always come up to me and call me Mr. Barris. And he would, if he'd bring some friends that were, here's the guy, he's the greatest. And he'd bow to me. And it's like, holy shit, what a great decent guy. And he didn't have to do any of that.
Nope. And you know one thing that nobody ever really talked about, when he got passed as a paid regular here, they put his name on the wall. He had a problem with that. Nobody told him about it, and then when he got his name on the wall, he felt a way about it because he's like, I didn't earn that through comedy.
Yeah, he did.
Well, yeah, but that's the humility of Roddy Piper, is the
Right.
way he looked at it was, this was just kind of given to me.
But you know what he would do? I would watch him in the back. And you remember back in the old days when there was 3 people late night.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one
Oh,
of the,
yeah.
And he would sit there and that was fantastic though.
Remember when he body
Hey, do you guys remember when he sucked my dick in front of
Well,
everyone?
and one of the
I lied. I
interesting
completely
things
lied.
about that is that it did make it almost cooler that it was back then for those 3 other people in the audience. When you would go amongst all these jokes, you're just 25, 30 minutes in talking about this and that and jerking off and
I don't do that.
didn't
I talked
you know.
about the differences between Los Angeles and New York. and things
all
like
these
that.
things. And amongst all these jokes, 30 minutes in, he goes, I'd like to give a special shout out. Roddy Piper is in the back of the room. And you would see some people like giggle, and then they would turn around and they'd see Piper, and it made it that much more special, sort of, that it was empty. It wasn't the times where it's packed and the crowd goes wild. Holy shit, Piper's in the room. It was these people that literally couldn't believe. They're like, is that just a guy that looks like Roddy Piper?
It was just, he was such a good guy. I remember he would talk with some of the comics that, like, Lucas.
Yeah.
He would talk to him because he was going through girl problems.
Yeah.
And he would pull him aside. What a
he was
class
actually
dude.
he loved talking about love, like especially when there was a girl problem or there was a breakup. He really would he'd zero in on you, and he'd also seek you out. So if he saw you, he'd approach you like, hey, how's it going with what's her name, and
classiest guy
classiest,
I've
good,
ever met. Absolutely
good man.
And then Josh Martin, the second classiest.
Yeah, I've always said it's Roddy and Josh.
Yeah.
Sometimes Josh on a good night he goes above Roddy. That's Josh and
Yeah.
Roddy. But yeah,
Don, I don't know about that, but I do know I love to fuck.
yeah, I've heard
Okey-dokey.
that about you.
It doesn't happen very often, but he loves it when it goes down.
Has it been since the English girls?
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
Are you talking about the British invasion of 2014?
Yeah.
And
Is that when-
2012.
Is that when that was?
It was like
It was a couple times.
2013,
20,
2014.
it was
Oh
20.
my
It was
God.
2013.
It's been that long.
It's a few different strikes.
Yeah.
The girls from Liverpool. I
Yeah.
remember those. And who's the guy
Meow.
that took them out? Yeah, Josh Martin. And
Yeah,
that
he
Mads-
jumped in the pool.
That's right. The old Liverpool.
Took a dip.
Well, guys, this has been a great
Don,
time.
we appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for inviting
Thanks
me
for
on.
Yeah, I love
popping
you,
in.
Don.
Yeah,
Comedy
thanks, man.
store icon, Don
Absolutely.
Barris, everybody.
Yep.
Windy City Heat
Legend.
creator, star.
Love you, man.
The Big Three podcast, the Ding Dong Show every Monday.
One of the sweetest dicks in comedy.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
right. You can
yeah.
always catch the Ding Dong Show right after Kill Tony every Monday here live at the Comedy Store.
That's right. That's
When-
right.
One of the first times I had my friends from Long Beach come up to the Comedy Store, I was
Yeah.
a door guy, and I introduced him to Don. It's like, hey, guys, this is Don Barris. He's a legend. And he looks at him, and he pulls out his dick. How you like my dick? That was like the way he...
Yeah, that sort of thing don't fly today.
It just does not... It's like a different world.
Yeah, for sure. It didn't age well just
Sounds
now when
wrong,
you told
but
that story.
It's okay.
Oh my goodness.
That was fun.
For sure. Well, I always love to have Don, and I always love to reminisce about fucking Roddy, man.
More
It's like-
amazing stories about Roddy.
Yeah.
Never ends.
The people that he seemed to touch and respect and get love from and give love for.
Oh, yeah.
It almost doesn't seem like the same human being when you see him acting crazy on
Yeah.
the WWE network and doing this. Just
I think that's one of the things about him being that character that he was in the ring
yeah.
was the opposite of that is also probably very true about him.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I find that can be very similar in comedy, right? The people who on stage who are the most either aggressive or vile or say this stuff like that
Yeah.
you'd be like, oh, that's offensive or that that's harsh. Then off stage, they're the most friendly, the most
That's what
open.
they say
the
about
most,
me all the time is that I make fun
Yeah.
of people on stage
Yeah.
and that off stage I help people, I
Yeah.
nurture careers, I pay for things, I take care of my friends, I'm extremely a nice guy. Meanwhile,
Mhm.
on stage, I have a new rape joke in which people literally leave during it. Like strangers that don't know me or my style will leave during this new joke. It's
Unbelievable.
Can't
like
wait to hear
48
this.
hours old.
I
But
felt-
my plan is to always just walk one person so that it makes it exciting for the rest of the room. And I acknowledge that I walked someone that's
Yeah.
like pretending that they've been raped before, even though they haven't, even though they probably have.
Oh
it's
my
a whole
God.
thing. It's art, guys. It's art. Gotta see it live. TonyHinchcliffe.com.
That's goddamn right.
Live
you
from
do.
New York.
To that point, when we had Joey Ryan on when he came in and do the show, like
Yeah.
I saw all the clips on online and stuff, and I was convinced he was doing a porno thing.
Yeah.
But then he came here and was like, no, it's like Magnum PI. I was like, what do you? No,
Yeah.
you're doing a porno thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I wanted to keep talking about the porno thing, but you guys were like, hey, he's probably not feeling the porno thing. And I was like, all right, fine.
You should have brought up to him the WWE porn channel.
I
you
wanted to know what
make.
porn stars influenced him. Stephen St. Croix.
Yeah.
Well,
the
Peter North.
The dick flip is called the U-porn plex. That's what it's called. So
Okay,
I mean,
so
he's
then
being a
how
little
is he gonna
tongue in
get
cheek
all-
about
Only
saying,
'cause
"Oh,
they
it's not a
paid
porn
for it.
thing."
Only because they paid for
Sure.
it.
Did
That's
they?
a sponsorship.
Did they pay for
yeah.
it?
Oh yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Wow.
Oh, he was a sponsored athlete for them for a
Yeah,
while.
and he did some intros into Sonny's porno thing.
Wow.
Yeah,
the
he
one
did-
where she toots?
Yeah, the one she farts mid porno.
Wait, Sonny has a porno?
Son,
Yeah, you haven't
yeah.
seen it?
Yeah, she
Oh.
farts in
She
it.
farts
Oh, man.
midway through, and
Is
Big-
it an accident?
yeah,
Do
well,
they
the-
acknowledge it?
no, the guy
Is
no
it-
sells it like a champion.
Oh, Brutus the Barber queef cake over here.
Oh,
have I
Lordy.
made a Brutus queef cake joke?
Never
on this?
before.
Okay.
That.
Dun, dun,
Amazing.
dun, dun.
We're making history in 2020.
Call me the Undertaker because I'm digging up new stuff here.
Amen. Speaking of new stuff, well, sort of new stuff. On Monday Night Raw, fucking, we get treated to something that a bunch of like people tweeted at me like.
Finally, you guys are talking about a real wrestling organization.
Well, we'll go watch Wrestle Kingdom 14. It was amazing. Will Ospreay, Takahashi, unbelievable match. But
you were moving forward there. Forward momentum.
But anyways, a lot of people thought I was gonna hate this, but I actually didn't mind it at all, and I'm kind of into it. Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar opened Monday Night Raw, and they announced that Brock isn't going to be defending his WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble. He's going to be in the Royal Rumble. And not only is he going to be in the Royal Rumble, he's going to be number 1 in the Royal Rumble. And, look, you've heard me talk about Lesnar dominating and, there not being enough contenders for him. They don't build up anyone strong enough to contend with him, blah, 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 blah. This is exactly how you deal with that situation. Because what story could you even build to the Royal Rumble? It's in a couple weeks. You know what I mean? What could you even build to say, oh, this is the right guy to fight Lesnar? And now the fact that not only are you going to have Raw guys, you're going to have SmackDown guys, you have NXT guys in the ring with fucking Brock Lesnar. Who doesn't want to see that?
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see it, but
Yeah.
I know I'm jumping ahead here. What's going to happen when he wins?
Well, see, that's just it. So he could – there's 2 ways it's going to happen, right?
Uh-huh.
He's either going to win and challenge the Fiend, which I don't know if they're going to do that. But whoever eliminates him is going to be his WrestleMania opponent, right?
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
that's
and
where it's
then-
going.
It could
Okay.
be whoever eliminates him could be his opponent, and whoever wins the Royal Rumble would go against the Fiend. So
Exactly.
you just
Or
Exactly.
you could have Brock Lesnar beat the Fiend and unify the titles.
Totally. That's what I'm saying. There's
You
Or vice
could go
versa.
that.
and honestly, either one of those scenarios is super interesting to me, except if it's Cain Velasquez. I just don't care about him. I don't care about him anymore. He showed up and then got beat immediately. Like, what's left?
Oh,
They built this whole thing. They one guy to beat Brock Lesnar in real life. Then they have a horrible fake MMA fight, which we all despised. Well, at least most of us. And then he lost. So it's like,
yeah, but I
okay.
think the story they're telling with them is now they're 1-1 because Brock got beat like way worse than Kane did. He came up with a scar that they kept. So now, just like they went back with Goldberg and they told the story of their big 3 matches from WrestleMania 20 to 30, whatever it was. I think there's still I'm not saying it should be Kane or that. I think the money here is definitely Brock goes 1-30, he wins, and the biggest prize fighter in the world says, "Well, I want my championship match. Give me the Fiend." And Paul Heyman begs him off and tells him, "You can't do this, Brock. Don't subject yourself to this. You don't have to do that." And then Brock just is like, "No, this is I'm the main event. Give me the." And he wants both belts. And you could most likely you get the Fiend to go over on Brock, but you can play it either way ultimately in that.
Yeah.
Most likely you let the Fiend win and unify the 2 belts because there's still more money in Brock Lesnar coming back after that loss than for him beating the Fiend. But that'd be so exciting.
Who
him
do you
winning.
want to see, Tony? How do you want to see it play out?
I think I something in my gut's telling me that it's not going to be either one of these things. I think that this is exactly the type of pathway that they want us to be thinking and talking about. It just seems a little bit too predictable.
That's what WWE does, though.
Not always.
I mean,
Not always. This is the old conundrum. Is that's what they want us to think.
They overswerve at times.
Right.
So
Right. So they have us completely committed to this thing, and I don't know. I just think something special is going to happen here. I can't imagine who or what.
I mean,
right
there's a
now.
lot of different scenarios, right? Like some of the guys rumored to return.
It
in
could
the
also be.
Royal
It
Rumble.
could also be that the Fiend's number 2, and he throws out Brock from there, and the Fiend doesn't have to announce, right?
Well, the
So
problem
Brock
with that
comes out
becomes
first, and then the lights go out, and then all of a sudden the Fiend's there, and the bell rings, and he throws out Brock, and then Brock's mad at the Fiend.
I mean, I don't have an issue with the Fiend being in the Rumble. It's kind of strange because I've always had a question about the G1 in New Japan. It's like the champions are in the G1 tournament to see who's going to fight the champion. So it's kind of like, well, what happens if Okada wins the G1?
Don't they pick their
well, it's never happened, so they've never had to explain what happens if the champion wins the G1.
Look, I think.
Hey,
Oh, wait,
I
John
gotta go. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I gotta
Don,
go.
Don Barrett,
it's okay,
everybody.
man. We love you. Thanks, brother.
I think there's a lot of ways you can go with
Run
this.
in.
There's so many ways to set up Brock's opponent, other feuds. There's a lot to do. I just think that the best use of this now is either Brock Lesnar's winning this or is he's the last person thrown
Sure,
out. Like
yeah.
I think
Oh,
I
he's
think
gotta go
any
super
early
late.
anything early with him is dumb. Like anything like you're wasting the real drama, which is to see this. I think Brock has to go the distance in this. if for nothing else than to show that he's Brock, why he is
Sure.
that
And you want to
guy.
see him go heads up with all these guys.
Yeah, the
You-
first 10
fucking
people.
him and Keith Lee face to face.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was
my
thinking.
You know what I'm saying?
Walter,
That's
are
the
you
only
kidding me?
one.
Walter,
Yeah.
Keith
Walter.
Lee, Braun Strowman, every big guy in there, he's gonna have to tangle
You know
with.
what
So
I'd-
the first 10 people he dominates.
Good
The
old
second
FB.
10, it starts to get challenging and competitive, and then that third 10, it's a toss-up where you think he could go out and someone else is coming in. The surprise entrant comes in. You're like, oh my God, is
Imagine
it Batista?
the pop when him and Riddle come face to face.
Yes.
Two UFC guys.
There's a
right
chance
in the middle of the ring.
Goldberg's going to be in the Rumble.
That's how I would book it. I'd have Riddle eliminate Lesnar because Riddle's been talking shit about Lesnar. Like,
that doesn't feel big enough.
well, I'll
for
tell
it,
you
yeah.
why. I'll
How
tell you
much
why I would
does
do
Riddle weigh again?
it. Because Riddle, has said that he wants to be the guy to retire Brock Lesnar in WWE. That he wants to be that to have that match. So
does everybody else.
Well, sure, but he's the only one who's come out and said it. You know what I mean, publicly. So what becomes is now you have a guy who's actually over in pro wrestling, which is Matt Riddle, which Cain Velasquez wasn't, who can eliminate him. It doesn't look bad on Brock if it happens late, obviously. But then you can play into what's happening between Riddle and fucking Goldberg. You know what I mean? And maybe Goldberg is the one who costs Riddle his match against Lesnar later on. You know what I mean? And then you could have a more complex storyline that feeds into what's been happening all over social media and the backstage stuff, and then you have some kind of a payoff. You know what I mean? Like Cain Velasquez, I hear what you're saying about it being like, oh, they're 1-1, but I don't know if the fans gave that much of a shit when they
Let me
saw
ask you
Kane.
this: what other events do we know are going to be at the Royal Rumble? Do we know of any? Is the Fiend going to be wrestling? Is
The
he
Fiend's
scheduled?
wrestling Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Fiend's wrestling Daniel Bryan.
for the belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's the Fiend because he won some match to wrestle the
Right.
Fiend.
So what if Bray Wyatt's in the Rumble? Now they've established that Bray Wyatt can be a separate entity.
But he's still the champion if he's Bray Wyatt. Because he has the blue belt when he's Bray Wyatt, and he has the Fiend belt when he's the Fiend.
And you don't want, unless they're having him wrestle twice in a night, if Bray Wyatt wins the Rumble, Bray Wyatt, by the rules they've set, Bray Wyatt would then wrestle, not the Fiend. So let's say Bray Wyatt.
Has the Fiend had a championship match since that belt came out?
Since
Oh,
the
this is the
Fiend
new
belt.
one?
Has he
No.
come
Only-
to the
no.
he come to the ring with that belt?
No,
only on house shows.
yeah, he's shown up with it, but he hasn't put it. The first time that would have happened was when Bray Wyatt wrestled The Miz. So Royal Rumble will be the first time he can bring that belt out as the Fiend.
Yeah.
And look, maybe they're going for two faces of Bray Wyatt. Maybe Wyatt faces somebody and the Fiend faces somebody. It's not unheard of.
I think
for
it
them
makes
to
a
Yeah,
do
it's
lot
that.
of
happened with
sense
Mick
for
Foley
them
plenty
to
of times.
yeah, eventually.
I don't think
Royal
you
Rumble.
want to do it on WrestleMania only in that the first time that human being comes out is going to be the most special, and it has to be Bray. But then you're going to have spoiled the reveal because later it's the Fiend. You know what I mean? Like on the big.
Let me
show.
tell you something right now. I rewatched that Bray Wyatt versus Miz match, and granted the action, this and that, but the way he had that audience. Go back, glance at the crowd behind him when he's pretending like he's gonna get in the ring or and he's doing whatever.
Yeah.
These people are cracking up in the background. It's like the equivalent of when them losing their minds when Goldberg beat Hogan in Atlanta, but a comedy version of it. He knows how to work this fucking crowd each and every way. It's sort of like gold dust, the agility that this guy has at this time.
Yeah.
And comedy, drama, scaring people, making people laugh. How silly he was. Just look
Fuck
at
it.
the faces on the audience.
To
I
me,
mean, my
I'm-
mind was blown.
I'm changing my pick. Bray Wyatt enters. Bray Wyatt wins. He challenges the Fiend.
Yep.
Bray Wyatt versus the Fiend at WrestleMania in the main event.
Yep.
Dual personalities. He fights himself.
Yep.
Hurt versus heel.
Yep.
Half and half.
Let me ask you this:
I don't-
where's his brother been?
He gives
Where
himself the
has
claw.
his brother been?
Who?
His brother.
Bo Dallas, he's still in that tag team, the B team or whatever.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
I'm
Oh,
really
maybe-
sorry to
maybe he
interrupt,
can
but I'm gonna
dress
have
as-
Time to thicken him up,
You
get
gotta
him
take
some
care.
dreads.
All right, Johnny,
I
we
gotta
love
take
you,
care of
brother.
some stuff. I'm here this weekend, Friday and Sunday.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yay! Have a good one, guys.
I
See ya.
mean, and that's why I say it's
The
such a
old
good.
tile driver, Johnny Scortis.
But that's why I say it's such a good decision because this it just opens up a lot of different possibilities. You know what I mean? Which
Don't kill yourself, Johnny. Okay.
The issue is
What's funny
that
that wasn't a joke. That
that's
was
the
a genuine.
That's the comedy world nowadays. That's how we say goodbye to one another.
Don't kill yourself.
Ever since Brody.
Don't kill yourself.
Yeah.
no, you don't kill yourself.
Happy holidays. Don't kill yourself.
you talked about NXT stars. I don't think NXT needs any more help. They have a good roster. But what needs help is SmackDown, honestly, or Raw.
Both of
So
them.
this is where you could elevate a guy like Drew McIntyre. And
Drew McIntyre.
You can
That
move
guy's
Drew.
that guy's gonna make it in show business.
You can move Drew into a title picture and actually elevate those guys
He
who've
just turned
been
babyface.
just whatever, you know.
Yeah. I mean, look,
3-2-1 on his Claymore is pretty over. That's cool.
yeah, dude. Yeah, he turned babyface by putting his finisher over.
He's NXT.
No. Drew's on Raw, but no, he's on SmackDown. Sorry.
No,
he's
Raw.
on Raw.
Well, I was right the first time.
Look, I love Drew McIntyre. My friend Kevin pointed this out to me today that he thinks that this is Drew's time. He's going to get the push. He's going to win Rumble. And I don't think it's that way for him right now. But I pointed out to my friend Kevin, I was like, look, that's what I said about Batista, and you were right when you said Batista was going to win the Rumble that year, and he did. Like, it could be a very similar transition moment for him. I don't think it's that time for Drew, but it could.
I still think they
he's
want
right
to
there.
do Reigns versus something in me still says they want to do Reigns Fiend at WrestleMania.
You're
And I don't
36.
hate that.
crazy.
I
You're
don't hate that.
crazy.
Why would
You're
I be crazy? It's he's
I know you think
he's their
Vince is an
guy.
out-of-touch buffoon. They will not do that. They can't do that.
oh, I mean,
Yes,
can't-
they
they
can.
can.
They
They've done
did. They
worse.
They
Look, the
did
word-
it
the
multiple
word-
times. Have Roman
they've done-
Reigns win.
But the word has been Roman and the Fiend for a little while. Whether it's changed or whether it's
Who
different.
do you think gives us the word, guys?
Look.
I mean, the word is the word is the word. It could be any number of people. Sometimes they're right. Sometimes they're
the
wrong.
same way we
It is
kind
what
of
it is.
thought Cain Velasquez might show up on the first episode of SmackDown.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like it's
like
it's
that
not,
had been the word, and then it happened.
No one knew that.
Yes.
Yes, they did. It had been the
did.
word for
Okay.
a long time.
people
All
gave me
right.
shit for trying to say that I had said it on the podcast. They were like, "We all knew." And I was
Vince
like,
said it on the podcast, and it was a
Yeah.
scoop that melts.
Yeah.
You guys didn't agree
I
with it
don't-
when Vince said it. You
I
didn't
don't
agree with it
think-
when Eddie said it. You guys read
I
the
don't
dirt
No,
think
yeah, I
they're
did.
going to go Roman and Bray, but I think they could go Roman and Bray, and I would watch that. I'd be interested to see.
You mean
What
Roman
on earth-
Fiend?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's-
I just don't think. I think.
For at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they
that's
could. I don't think it's the right
moronic.
way to go, but I think they could.
Moronic. You cancel out two things there.
Yeah.
It's
But-
the only time they do that is when they're going to set up for Roman losing.
I think you're more likely to
As a
see
loser.
Roman and Brock than Roman and the Fiend. I think if Roman wins,
We've
he
done that
challenges Bro-
already.
Yeah, but they love that. They're athletic guys. You know, Roman's been pretty over, and they still play Lesnar as a heel. You don't have to get
I
either
agree.
one of those guys in the way of the Fiend.
But to
I think there's
me-
a chance the Fiend and Bryan are going at it at WrestleMania.
Yeah. I mean, look, like I said, that's what makes this Brock Lesnar of it make it so much more exciting. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just like, who knows what's going to happen, really? And Steve Austin just said this, like a week ago, and like that's what's been missing from the WWE, the true feeling of like, oh, a surprise is going to happen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like you just don't get it from them. They just don't do it. They set up your expectations and then just give you something dumb. I mean, look at Raw. It's like Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens are teaming up against Authors of Pain and Seth Rollins. And Joe's like, oh, I got a guy. I got a third guy. It's a Big Show? It's like, all right. You know what I mean? Like, we love the Big Show, but really? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I'm not
I
mad
think
at that because nothing else was really going to come from that moment. Like
But
it was just a filler. It was an interesting. Here's Big Show, and it just lets Kevin Owens.
That's
and-
like when we were at SmackDown and then Team Hell No got back together for a second.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember Kane came back and it was
Sure.
like, oh no, and then that was just a thing.
Yeah, but then that's what I mean. It's just like they pretend like, oh, a surprise is going to happen, and then it just kind of doesn't. I mean, but this year, there's a couple, like, Edge is rumored to return in the Royal Rumble.
Oh God.
You don't like Edge?
Look, what everyone
Oh,
listening to
God.
the podcast misses, as Chris said Edge, he shot a look over to see if what Tony was going to say.
Oh, God.
And on cue, Tony goes, fucking really?
Oh, it's
I didn't
disgusting.
even. You don't like Edge?
He's always been a nothing burger. Of course, he's going to be a guest on the podcast now that I said
Yep,
that.
yep, that always happens.
People are going to, oh, look at the hypocrite. Look at these clout chasers.
Clout Chasers
Virgin
2020.
What about this?
That's the name of our 4-man tag team, the Clout Chasers.
Speaking of Edge, what about straight Edge?
Yeah, CM Punk rumor. CM Punk is, as far as the odds are concerned, he is third in winning the Royal Rumble this
In
year.
Vegas.
Hey,
The
you
Vegas
know-
odds are that he
and
is
you,
third.
And you know what? When I was saying in my gut that I feel like there's something brewing here, the more that they give you, the more there's a chance for a surprise. So them giving us this, they could have easily. There's no reason for them not to just have Brock come out in the 1 slot and the crowd lose their fucking minds at the Royal Rumble. That's an exciting thing.
Yeah.
That
Well,
fucking
he is
noise.
in the- he is
Your
in the 1
first
spot.
No,
right, that's
what
I'm
Tony's saying
Yeah.
is if they never
not
said
announced
anything.
it,
Right.
And you're at the
Imagine.
Royal Rumble. No, your
Oh.
first entrance.
Right,
wham,
right.
wham, wham, or whatever
Totally.
his music
Oh,
is.
my God.
And
the roof
literally
would come
people
off
are
the
like, what
Holy
the
shit!
fuck?
Yeah.
Right. But instead they're giving us
Do you
that.
think
so you have
Punk
to
comes
ask
back?
yourself, you have to ask yourself, why? And the reason why is because they want us to come up with the storyline in our head.
Absolutely.
Oh, Brock wins 1-30. Oh, Brock gets eliminated by everybody. They all team up. How does it accumulate? How does it accumulate? How do you get more people in the ring if Brock's there eliminating them one after the
Yeah,
other?
it's gonna be a Steve Austin scenario where somebody comes in, he throws them right the fuck back out, and
Right.
waits for someone to come back.
Right.
It's gonna
for
be that
a little
for a
bit. And I
bit.
don't even.
Yeah.
I don't think they can go 10. I think 10's sort of like ooh. I
But
think
that's what I'm saying.
like
It's
number
gonna
6,
be
number
like
7.
a Keith Lee or somebody who comes in, and then that ends the people just getting thrown the fuck.
And
out.
I wanted to say this during the Drew McIntyre part of this thing because I'm not buying the Drew McIntyre. I know the people are popping and this and that, but
I love him.
I'm just not
I don't think it's
buying
time. I'm
into
It's
a
not his
guy
time. I don't
that's-
think it's his time.
I'm not
It's
into a
definitely
guy
his time. It was his time a year ago, and they just kept burying him and putting him in bullshit feuds.
I'm not buying it.
For the
He's
past
like
year.
5'11". He looks like a wrestler, but he doesn't seem like a powerful force to me. But Keith Lee, my friends, I'm telling you, that's a fucking star. A bulletproof star. I don't see why wait unless there's something about his technical side of wrestling that they're trying to improve on.
Yeah.
But other than
No, he's
that,
great.
it should be all systems fucking giggity go. You got all of a sudden you have another star, which is what you need, and
Yeah.
you build on it and make him and the Fiend and him and Bray Wyatt and him
Well,
and Brock.
Well, that's why I
and
said
him
it
and
should be
CM
somebody
Punk.
like him who eliminates Lesnar. Like you have to use this opportunity to build somebody. Like Kane, it just it adds to the story. It doesn't.
Right.
You don't need it.
I'm going to be honest with
CM
you.
Punk, you don't
It
need it.
should have been Kane. It
Yeah,
should
but
have been
it
Kane.
should have been
but they
Kane.
ruined.
Yep.
They ruined that. I
Sure.
stand by it. It's going to be almost impossible for them to fix unless they have him come back and he's this stellar, doing what we know he can do in the ring. We've seen glimpses of it,
Yeah.
but unless he's working on his cardio full time, which he's not, that's not.
Well, he's
gonna
on a leg
happen.
injury.
Right.
So what if
But-
what if Punk comes out 30? It comes down to him and Brock. Punk eliminates Brock, and then he challenges him at Mania. How do we feel about that?
Boring.
It's money and it's boring. That's good.
So boring.
Yeah, I
Wait,
mean,
wait,
I
I
want.
would
hold
take
on a sec.
Josh
Punk
only
returning?
wants like he's pure hipster. So
No,
it's like
you-
he
you
just
won-
wants this underdog.
One,
Oh,
you,
then here.
you say
Okada,
Drew
Okada comes out
you
30.
say-
I love
eliminated.
that. I love that.
You say Drew McIntyre is 5'11". He's 6'5". He has a look. He has been fucking
That's what it
buried in
says
that-
on the website. They
He's
don't want
not
you to know.
5'11".
He's not 5'11".
Okay, he's 6'2".
Okay.
Look at him face
He's
to
a lot
face
taller
with the
than I
other
am.
guys. Wait till you see him eye to
Drew
eye with
McIntyre.
Brock.
And also, Keith Lee's in NXT. They need to keep him in NXT because NXT is competition against AEW. So why would you push him in the title picture for
Look,
that
Keith-
when you
Prospectively, Keith Lee could win and challenge for the NXT title.
Yeah.
Well, somebody online today recommended to me, their thought was Kevin Owens wins the Rumble and he challenges Adam Cole for the NXT title at TakeOver.
I'd rather
Mania or
watch
something.
him wrestle Michael Cole.
Adam Cole's amazing, but it's just one of those. Yeah, it's just one of those
5'8".
things where it's like
Adam Cole's 5'8".
Adam Cole might be 5'8", actually.
Actually, yeah.
But I think it's an
that's why
interesting
he raises
scenario.
his hands to make it taller.
Yeah.
Look up
Call-
here.
I mean, Shorty T knows.
I know 5'8".
Not
No one
5'7".
knows. No one knows 5'8". I'm like a guy that's 5'9".
6'8".
5'6", 5'8".
All right.
No 7, no 7.
5'9".
So we'll see, and I'll give them, look, Royal Rumble is our favorite event. We go every year. So for this, I'm going to give them at least enough slack to hang themselves with. I really want to see where it goes. I hope they don't disappoint. We know that Vince has a history of doing disappointing things and thinking it's hilarious. You know what I mean? So
they bought
I don't
the
know.
goodwill from me. Like putting Brock in at number 1 says, all right, like this is something to tune into, and until they mess it up, that's a very exciting.
because it's a good decision.
Yeah.
And anytime WWE makes a good decision, I'm trying not to shit on them. That's my resolution
Year's
for
resolution.
2020. I'm gonna
That's
try
the New Year's revolution
to help. I'm gonna try to give them the benefit of the doubt this year, even though they have not earned it, in my opinion. Because I mean, look, I was watching Wrestle Kingdom, and like you take a guy like Naito, right? This has been a 5-year storyline they built with that guy. 5 years. He loses to Okada, which makes him change his personality to the Naito we know, the Ingonables, Tranquilo Naito.
And I'll say that 5 times.
I
in a
will
row.
not. Then he comes back, has the whole thing with the Intercontinental title where he doesn't want it. He thinks he deserves the world title, but he keeps winning the IC title. He hates the belt. He throws it down, spits on it, doesn't care for it. Then Jericho comes in, beats him up so bad it makes him have respect for the Intercontinental title. Then he wins the G1, has the match with Okada, loses. Everyone thinks, oh no, that was his time. He should have won. Blah blah blah. Then he comes back and now he's the double champion, which now is even bigger than him having won it last year or the year before. That's how you build fucking goodwill, and we haven't seen anything close to anything like that in WWE.
A 5-year storyline. You mean like the cult leader that ends up getting buried, so he breaks all the way and goes full multi-personality, insane person, like good and evil.
But that wasn't a
completely breaks.
storyline. That was like
yeah,
some
that wasn't a
yes and.
story they were telling. That was something that Bray Wyatt developed into his Firefly Funhouse.
And that's
That's
also
a
a
storyline.
product of his injury, him being injured and being
Totally.
out for so long.
100%.
I think it's somewhere in between, in that a story like Naito's isn't something that you can just say, well, here's the next 5 years of programming, let's go. It's something that's told along the way, and all of the factors have to go into it. So whether it's The Fiend or whether it's the way Daniel Bryan was booked from that 18-second loss against Sheamus all the way up through the Yes movement at WrestleMania 30, you can absolutely criticize and say that it wasn't thought out the 3 years in advance, but nothing is. Like, we're all going to compare
I don't think
it
that's
to,
true with Gato.
We're all going to
I don't think
compare
that's
it
true
to
with Gato.
Hogan and Randy Savage at WrestleMania 5, but that's a very difficult needle to thread.
Sure.
And even there, you're still moving along the way. Like, you move your pieces as you go. It's not it's in
Absolutely.
between those. There's
Absolutely.
no way that look, New Japan absolutely knew they had a long-term plan. I don't think they knew it was 5 years. Don't think it was solidified at the beginning, and every time something happened, they moved the other chess pieces to make it make sense, which is exactly what you would do with somebody like The Fiend. If they get injured, here we're going to reboot him. Is this where we turn? What can we do with him now? What can we do with Daniel Bryan now that he's getting this reaction? What can we do with so-and-so?
Right. But here's what they do.
Certainly, the Fiend wouldn't be the Fiend if people wouldn't be cheering so hard for this character if they weren't mad about Bray Wyatt getting so buried when he was Bray Wyatt.
Totally.
Like that's the
But
heart and soul behind
do you
it.
think that the idea was like we're going to make them love him by him getting beat? I don't think that was what they were trying to do at all.
No, but
But that's what part of pro wrestling
Yeah.
is, responding to what is happening.
sometimes
Right.
the storylines, even though they can be disappointing at times, that's the great misdirect.
I agree. But I think the difference is, and me and Matt talked about this in the car, when you look at the WWE landscape versus New Japan, they know how, in New Japan I'm talking about, knows how to make you stay interested in these wrestlers' journey where you don't write them off as like, oh, they're buried, it's over, fuck this. You know what I mean?
And what
They
it
don't
is,
wrestle as often.
Yeah,
It's-
the
it's-
they
amount
don't,
of programming
but
makes
okay.
it a very different
But look,
story.
to your
You can't
point,
get buried if you only wrestle
but look,
3
to your
times
point,
a year.
who on the main roster is in a better position this year than they were last year? Only Bray Wyatt. everyone else is the same
Well,
or
no,
has
Daniel
lost.
Bryan's back in the title picture.
You could talk about Seth
Climbed all the way back
Rollins'
from being put on lists and whatever, right?
Seth Rollins was the hottest thing on Monday Night Raw. The Monday Night Rollins thing was happening last year, right? Now this year he's a heel. He doesn't have a title, and people are annoyed with him. We're just starting to see where this heel thing is going. What happened to Ricochet when he debuted? He was the most special thing in the world. Now he's just a regular guy. Brock Lesnar is the exact same as he was. Who has elevated other than Bray Wyatt? Like, honestly, I know that you guys
I think Kevin Owens is in a better spot than he was a year ago.
He was injured a year ago.
I mean, we can go on and on.
yeah,
Keith
like-
Lee, Drew McIntyre, all the
I say
people.
main roster. Becky
Drew-
Lynch was
yeah,
the
but-
biggest thing in the company last year at this time, and she's definitely not anymore.
But the
But
switch
here's
from
the
then-
thing, when
was-
you
but
say
the sw-
better position, I do think that Seth Rollins beating Brock Lesnar clean twice and then turning
That was last
heel-
year.
Right, but it's in the course of this year. So from a year ago to right now,
Yeah.
in the last year, he has 2 victories over Brock
Well,
Lesnar.
look what
and
happened right
finally-
after that. Look where they are right now. That's what I'm saying.
Are we
It's
going
like-
to get into one of those? He's not
No,
letting me finish again.
I'm.
I don't
Go ahead.
think so.
Go ahead, Eddie. Go ahead, Eddie.
He's going.
Go ahead.
No, I just like that's I think my opinion is that puts him in a better position. He has 2 great wins. He was the champion and now he's turned heel and he's going forward. I don't agree that it's an all or nothing in these instances. This is an overbooked product.
And look,
there's
the
way
people,
too much wrestling from
and the people
WWE.
coming from NXT will always be the ones in which it's like, ooh, he's on the main roster now. Oh, he's got all the heat because he's new and exciting. It's the same with oh God, how am I forgetting the Japanese guy's name right now? Nakamura, you know, all these guys. AJ Styles, oh, they're here now. Look at this. They're here. They're on the main roster from our old favorite thing. They're the new hot thing. And they're always going to not be in better position than they were when they first got there. So it's sort of like a hard thing to deal with. Like
Baron
it's-
Corbin. Baron Corbin's in a much better
Yes,
position.
my
A year
goodness.
later, he won the King of the Ring.
Big
he beat
time.
Kurt Angle. They turned him from somebody who, when he was facing Seth Rollins, we hated, to a year later being a legit top-level heel that we completely buy in any of the storylines that we need him to, and services everything that he's asked to do.
The
It's-
issue is
I
that
disagree.
the people who are less now from a year ago way outnumber the people who are elevated from a year ago.
Without
and
That's
that's
question.
something
not
you
and that's
guarantee
not
one way
good.
or the other,
but
though.
like to go back to this Naito
Wait, what?
thing, this
What'd
night,
you say? Repeat it.
the people who are elevated within this past year is way lower than the people who are way down in their stock. You know?
But yeah, that you're just saying that people that everybody's been big, that they're a bunch of stars.
No, the issue is that you're not. This is to go back to this Naito thing. This is what WWE is not good at. Is keeping the people who are not in the A, B, or C storyline interesting. They don't know. That's what's great about Naito is that he was still interesting, and he wasn't even in the top 3 or 4 matches for
True.
Wrestle Kingdom.
Facts.
Because if you think you have Okada Nakamura, you have Okada Omega for fucking 4 Wrestle Kingdoms, and Naito was just a random fight, and he fucking stayed relevant.
No,
Because
arguably
he-
the most
because
popular dude
by
in
him-
New Japan,
Yeah,
and not in the title.
and
picture.
there's no WWE's not good at making anyone who's not in the heavyweight title or the mid card title to keep them interesting.
I
all.
just
don't
think
s-
we're comparing apples and oranges here. If Wrestle Kingdom was every Monday and Friday,
It wouldn't be a 5-year gap. It would be way less time. I agree on that,
Right.
but you still have to keep those people who are not in title position
Yeah.
somewhat interesting.
Because I think NXT even does a better job than the main roster of keeping guys relevant and interesting
Because
and
they-
doing different stuff.
They
and
show because
popular.
NXT shows matches from 2 guys you don't really fucking know at all, and they give them a good 15-20 minute match so people can fucking get to know them and fucking maybe like them even better in the future.
what's one if one had to be canceled, what would you pick? New Japan? That's who does Wrestle Kingdom, right?
Yeah.
So you have to cancel one, New Japan or NXT. What do you cancel?
It's a tough one. I
That's
probably
a tough one.
yeah.
I'll tell you what the answer is. You'd cancel New Japan. NXT's a machine. You wouldn't want to go without it. You could go without New Japan.
I don't know.
I
I
also
feel like
They're 2 very different things.
That's apples and
think,
oranges
I think
in
what
my
I'm
That's an
also
apple orange
reacting
thing.
to here is it feels just like one of these very easy anti-WWE bashes.
Right.
They never make a star. Really? What about Andrade? Andrade's better off from a year. Like we just ham-handedly say.
I don't.
He's
I
the
don't. I
U.S.
don't.
champion. He's a featured player. He's about to do
But your
this great program with Rey Mysterio. Like he's elevated.
But
He's
compared to
improving.
what
So
he
a
was
year
in
from now, he's a
NXT,
championship caliber performer if they keep going.
you think he's higher now than what he was in NXT?
Yep, his paychecks are bigger. He's on a bigger stage. He's being seen by more people. He won a bigger championship, and he's a more integral part of a bigger program.
It's
Absolutely.
always going to be that way. If comparing New Japan and NXT are apples and oranges, then I promise you, comparing New Japan and WWE is fucking
I'm not.
apples and
I'm not trying to
cornbread.
compare them, but what I'm saying is WWE does not know how to make those smaller guys matches interesting. Because all those small guys all those guys in the
You talking about size?
no, not like just like in name, like
Lower level.
lower level, like
Not main event guy.
not main event guys. How do you keep those guys interested when all you do with them is have them job? You have those guys. Fucking Andrade jobbed a bunch when he first got into main roster. Aleister Black has done nothing but job recently. You know?
It's just one of those things.
Ricochet's jobbing to fuck guys.
These guys are all 5'7". They're in the big leagues now.
Aleister Black is not 5'7". I don't know what you.
He's
I don't think you know what
5'11".
5'7" is.
5'11".
Vince McMahon doesn't know what 5'7" is either, to be fair.
Okay.
5'6", 5'7".
Shorty G might be 5'7".
All I'm
Look,
saying is
nobody's disagreeing that WWE isn't firing on all cylinders at all times. There are a lot of factors that some of us believe go into it, like way too much programming, which isn't almost just a death knell for trying to get it over. But I think that to say that they don't make anyone, that they don't have anyone that's elevated, just feels so strong.
I'm not saying they
also,
don't elevate anyone.
Ricochet's 2017 to 18 was great. It's just that since he wasn't that good in 2019 to 2020, we look at it as the downshift.
Well,
but like the up and down shift have to come.
But the
fluidly.
issue is the company has to give them a chance, give people a chance to somewhat succeed within that year. Ricochet had no opportunity to really succeed, even though he was the hottest name at the beginning of 2019. It was huge.
And that's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
when you look at where a lot of these wrestlers were at the beginning of the year, at this time last year, to where they are now, I think you're going to see way more that have gone down a notch in their popularity, in their reaction from the crowd, in their specialness, in their merch sales, absolutely. And it's very few that have made any sort of boost. You know what I'm saying? I don't like Baron Corbin.
I understand.
I agree.
I hear it, but
let me finish.
Yeah.
I agree with you that Baron Corbin had moments. I'll agree with you that Seth Rollins had moments. Yeah, he did beat Brock Lesnar. Then immediately after that, everyone was booing him because of that Fiend match. So it's like, because you have moments of success doesn't mean that you're elevated just because those things happened. You know what I'm saying? It's like saying, like, look at Jushin Thunder Liger. He just retired this year. Is he as big a star as he was in the past? No. But, of course, he had moments during that path. So you can't just pick out parts that happened around
But I mean,
down the
that's
course.
exactly what you're doing with the Wrestle Kingdom thing, saying Naito's bigger than ever. Like, that's just a moment. This is how many times have you watched him wrestle this year? Once.
But I'm talking about, look at his trajectory. Naito was here and just kept going, and then got crowned.
But
that doesn't happen with WWE.
Isn't everybody always rooting for the underdog, the guy that hasn't had the shot? Isn't that
Not necessarily.
always
You
the
guys
storyline?
every week talk about Brock Lesnar should beat everybody
But
and
that's
never
different.
lose.
That's different
like,
because he's the answer to that.
Right now, I'm going for Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is not even anywhere close to an underdog at all.
And once he beats somebody and wins the title, you're gonna crap on him too. Like it is a cycle that we as wrestling fans tend to do, which is you can only root for someone to win the title. Then when they have it, it doesn't feel nearly
And
as
by the
good.
way, I'm admitting it, and I'm also saying that Keith Lee should be the guy. Like, I'm falling for the same thing that I'm admitting.
But I'd rather have Keith Lee elevate in NXT and Adam Cole fucking Keith Lee
by
feud
that
would be
theory,
great, you know?
But by that theory, by saying that we should keep Keith Lee in NXT for a long time is saying, like, oh, they're competing with AEW, then we should put The Undertaker in NXT and fucking give him a death blow. Like, it's like
But that's why
Keith Lee should move on.
But
They
that's
should
one
move
reason
on
why they
ASAP.
moved Finn Balor to NXT to help fucking
Right,
NXT beat AEW.
I
know you don't
but
care
also
about
Finn
Balor,
Balor's
but
5'9". He's 5'9". What are you gonna do with these little
But
guys?
the thing is
5'6",
that
almost 5'8".
this is the issue is that if you elevate like for example, if you elevate Drew McIntyre, that helps Brock Lesnar. It helps Roman Reigns. It helps all the top guys you have in the main roster by having another person elevated.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't hurt the product by using the Rumble, for example, to elevate someone to that top notch, who's putting the fucking work and time.
Yeah.
And Drew McIntyre has done that.
Yeah. Quite honestly, all I'm saying is that, and we've talked about it, I feel like, and I think we've all said it in different ways over the course of the last few months. WWE has a problem. They have an embarrassment of riches. They have all these super talented guys, but they don't know how to make the majority of them matter, which is the difference between this era and what I would say happened in the 80s height of things, Attitude Era height of things. I always talk about how Vince Russo had storylines for literally every single wrestler on the roster. Nowadays, these guys, they get this 2-week push. We've seen Humberto, what's his name?
Yeah,
Carrillo get
Carrillo.
a quick little thing. Cedric Alexander had a quick little thing. Drew McIntyre had a quick little thing. Kevin Owens had a quick little thing. It's like these people have these quick little moments, but they don't keep building these guys to where they matter as much as what Bray Wyatt does now, a Brock Lesnar does now. And then we sit here like, well, Brock Lesnar doesn't have an opponent. And it's like, well, they haven't built anybody, and you got to at some point.
And
he should dominate for a while, but at some point somebody's got to beat him. That's believable, but they don't build anyone up like that anymore.
And that's the issue with, like, for example, Monday Night Raw has an extra hour programming on Monday Night Raw compared to SmackDown. Why are you not using that hour to develop and build up those guys? There's no reason why you don't have those matches like you have on NXT that elevate people you don't fucking know. You know?
Right. And with that being said, that's why I think the Brock Lesnar thing is a great decision, because I think they've realized, oh, shit, we don't have anybody. What can we do? Let's put him in the Rumble, because it's all you can do. Any other match that would happen at Rumble would be a complete disappointment, because it just doesn't matter. You have 2 weeks to build a story. You're going to dig The Undertaker up? He already beat The Undertaker. You're going to big Goldberg up? He already beat Goldberg. You're going to make him fight Shawn Michaels? Shawn Michaels is bald and a weird eye, and nobody wants to see that. You know what I
And
mean?
he's also 5'7".
You know what I mean? But, so now there's a realm of possibility. So hopefully this is their way to say we're going in a better direction. I don't know. Like I said, for once in a long time, I'm going to give them some space, see where it goes, because, goddammit, we're going to fucking be there. You know what I'm saying? January 26th, Minute Maid Park, Houston, Texas. Store Horsemen are making their annual goddamn pilgrimage out there. Say what's up to us. Please chime in. I put this very topic up on our social media about what people feel about Brock Lesnar coming in the Royal Rumble at number 1 and seeing what happens. I'm excited. Because last year was a bit of a letdown for me, Royal Rumble wise. Not a whole lot of surprises. We got Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, they gotta. Yeah, I hope they juice it up a bit this year.
Totally. I didn't know you didn't like
Well,
Edge.
if
though.
Lesnar's
That's
there,
some,
they'll
some new
definitely-
shit.
Who's like, what? Convince me on Edge. Convince me, because I've never, since I was a kid and his debut, I'm literally like, oh, the jobber's winning. This no personality dude's winning. Like,
The entire Brood stuff was great. I enjoyed.
I was more intrigued by Gangrel than I was with Edge.
I like to go ahead,
Honestly,
Matt.
I was kind of more of a Christian guy because I thought he had cooler moves.
Yeah.
I thought he was more of the inventor, whereas Edge just kind of, he speared and
Right,
did
he's
the-
very Roman Reigns-esque with his moveset, just very simple. A spear, a punch, a fucking clothesline. Wow.
I have a lot of respect for how Edge found something that worked. I think the Rated R Superstar, when I think that his run when he cashed in the Money in the Bank at New Year's Revolution
sure.
and that kind of 2 to 3 year arc there was some really good work. And he was somebody who was always earmarked as being great but didn't find it. And when he did, I don't know if this is upper echelon like Remember Forever work, but I think like a lot of respect for finding that little sliver where he could slide right in, and there's the character and there's the thing, and I'm going to do good work. I don't need to see him back.
Yeah.
I look cool. I love you. It's great to see you spear someone on Raw or SmackDown or whatever. But if you don't come to the Rumble, I'm not going to cry.
I'm uncomfortable with people that have that injury coming back. Because I
Yeah.
can't not think about his neck. And I'm like watching him, like kind of like when Daniel Bryan first
yeah,
came
yeah.
back. It was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's not comfortable when I'm watching.
Totally. But it will
Like I don't
be-
want to see JBL do that clothesline again.
Well, it'll be great to see somebody. I don't agree with Tony that he didn't have any personality. I think he showed a lot of personality.
Also, I gotta say, Edge lost me when
The Matt Hardy thing.
yes.
That's very real. And
I mean,
that's
for
a very-
real, it was like a taste thing. It's like this was one of your best friends.
Oh,
and
dude.
then the way the company handled that, like I
Edge
can't believe
won
they
the
didn't.
feud.
I can't
he
believe
won
that.
feud.
Like after that,
Yeah,
I was
it
like,
was crazy.
"Fuck all y'all."
But
I
like,
remember being very upset about that
respect
when I was
because he
younger.
turned it into something. He clearly wasn't finding.
No,
the
respect
thing
to Matt
before.
Hardy who turned it around. I mean,
Who
Matt
was able to
Matt
do
ends up
business.
having a better career.
Yeah.
There's also some
Maybe he
great.
didn't become champion in WWE, but he invented something that got huge. I mean, he really DIY'd it.
I don't know if I would agree off the bat that Matt Hardy has a better legacy.
He had a
than
longer
Edge.
one. I don't know. I
does
think
have a
so. He had a
longer one.
WrestleMania win in the last few years.
I mean that Edge and Undertaker match at WrestleMania. Matt Hardy doesn't have anything like
In
that.
WWE.
Do you know what I mean? And that's WrestleMania. And again,
Right.
you can't.
I feel ya.
Here's
you
a question.
can't. You can't fault WrestleMania.
But
Like,
you
that's the-
how about this though? And
ahead.
at that Mania, the Return Mania, or what was that? Orlando.
33.
Whatever it
Yeah.
was.
At that moment, it's like Matt Hardy wins.
It's a big moment. It's not the same.
I mean,
It's a big
he
moment.
wins.
Here's a
between
question:
him
Do
and Edge.
either of them go in by themselves in the Hall of Fame,
Hell yeah.
or is it going to be Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys?
I think you're more
Isn't
likely
Edge
to
and Christian
see
there?
Edge on his own before you see Edge and Christian. I
Christian's not
don't
there.
think Matt Hardy gets in without his brother.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the better case for Edge is without Christian. I think we all forget that starting with that first title win at New Year's Revolution, he has a lot of title wins, and he carried as champion, a heel
Yeah.
champion, great for a while. That's a Hall of. In fact, Vince doesn't like Christian, so he's not. He's more
Right,
likely
right,
to go
right.
in on his own. And Matt, I don't think goes in without Jeff.
There's
on
a-
his own.
Let me ask you
period.
this.
There's an urban legend that Vince at one point wanted to
Yeah.
put a blue dot over Christian's face. He thought he was so ugly. So that was
He's
going to be
not. his
his gimmick, that he was come to
Yeah.
the ring with a blue. You could not see him on television.
The blue dot.
Exactly.
He's not that ugly. But fuck, what was I just gonna say? Oh, do you guys think Jeff Hardy goes in alone?
Yes.
No.
We're divided.
Not after recent events.
That's
No.
what I'm thinking.
Not after
Oh, yeah,
recent
that-
events.
I think he was.
If
also
it does,
on
it's
the
gonna be
cusp.
way. He just
Yeah.
pushed it way back. I do think down the road he will be though.
Even though I was happy to see Triple H today say that 100% the British Bulldog deserves to be in, and it's only a matter of when. That's the first time they've addressed that publicly, and I was happy that they finally did. Davey Boy needs to be in the fucking
Is
Hall of
his
Fame.
Family holding back at all?
No.
It's just
They just haven't done it.
I don't think Jeff Hardy goes in on his own. And if it does, it's going to be one of those like 20 years from now when they run out of people coming.
Right.
I just
He's
don't
won
think,
both the big ones.
Yeah, I think he's one of those people that
He's won every belt actually.
I think he had a lot of potential and never fulfilled it because of all of his outside stuff, and that's the argument
agree with you.
against him.
I think the opposite. I think the opposite. And I'm the biggest Jeff Hardy
We
martyr you're
know.
gonna
No, no,
find.
no.
But I think that I think they gave him so okay. I feel like this is blasphemy. But it's not like Jeff Hardy. I know he's the charismatic enigma. That all and he truly is, but that's within the confines of the ring or outside the ring within a match, things
Yeah.
he'd jump off of, and he was a star. But it wasn't like he was this mic superstar that would have
No.
climbed up. He actually wasn't that real. I mean,
He wasn't
you can't
great
even
on the
think of
mic.
anything about him on the mic.
Right.
Any of the dramatics that had to, like him and Trish Stratus, that fell flat. Like,
Yeah.
I think he got.
His
I think he got his
promos were
due.
so bad. His promos were so bad. I jumped off a ladder.
But I think that he.
Why didn't he give his promos crystal meth? They would have they would have moved a little better.
Yeah.
Every time he wrote something good, he's like, delete, delete. delete. Is
Yeah,
that the other one?
I thought
Maybe
he
if he
went.
spent less time doing his face paint, he would have had better promos.
people thought Jeff was going to be like Shawn Michaels, where it's like he's
Yeah,
going
but
to be the
Shawn
breakout
Michaels could
guys.
talk.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And so I agree. I'm saying I agree with Eddie that everyone thought Jeff was going to be this supernova. It never quite.
What I'm saying is, I
got
don't think
there.
it was just his demons that held him back. I think he lacked that mic skill, but he was
Yeah.
so special in the ring, especially the way he sold and all that other stuff. He was great, but the ring, I wouldn't check that box.
Oh my goodness, stand-up Kane.
Did you say demons?
He did at some point.
It's me, the demon Kane,
Yeah, welcome.
brother of the Undertaker.
That's right.
I lit my parents' house on fire.
That's right. Also correct.
I've been doing a lot of stand-up lately.
You have?
Yeah, and I have some new jokes I was hoping to try out on the show.
Please.
Why did the chicken cross the road?
No idea.
Because he lit his parents' house on fire.
That would make sense.
Why did my brother, the Undertaker, call in sick to work?
No.
Because he was coughing.
Oh, oh my God.
I have another one.
All right. Hit us.
I
I love that he thinks while with the sound.
knock knock.
Who's there?
Kane.
Kane who?
Kane, I'm gonna light your parents' house on fire.
Oh my God. Thank you, stand-up Kane.
I wrote Ricky Gervais's monologue for the Golden Globes.
Oh boy. Well, should be an itch. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
All right. Wonderful. Well, yeah.
By the way, someone on the Facebook stream said that Jeff has more shots outside the WWE than inside the WWE.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's an
It's
alcohol.
it's really
Tell
a sad
them they
story.
should start stand-up comedy right now. They can get booked in the main room.
Yeah, I think that Sting match really fucked his legacy really bad. Just all the problems have fucked it up. You know, we never really got
But
to see that.
you know,
full
he
potential.
just stopped. He never got that sustained run because of all of it. So
But he didn't. But it's like it's one of those things where it's like he didn't draw very well as champion. Like just like Rey Mysterio. Like they were like, this is his time and he deserved it, sure. But then when it happened, it just it wasn't a big deal. But goddamn it, 2020 is a big deal because we're fucking back and it's happening. Feels good to be back. So much going on in wrestling. So many things to pay attention to. WWE, AEW, NWA, fucking New Japan.
New World Order going to the Hall of Fame. X-Pac getting his second ring.
Yeah.
Well deserved.
So we'll see. Where can they find you in the meantime, Maddie?
I'm here this weekend at the Comedy Store. On the 26th. No wait, fuck, I can't. Check my Instagram for my Vegas shows that later this month.
And Tony?
San Antonio, Houston, Calgary, Vancouver, Austin, Boston, Swansea, Massachusetts. A bunch of stuff. Kill Tony, doing stand-up as Tony Hinchcliffe. Just the regular old evil Tony. Tempe Improv, beginning of February. All those other cities I mentioned, Kill Tonys with stand-up shows. A couple of them are just Kill Tonys. Vancouver's almost sold out. You see what we're doing in Vancouver?
Yeah.
Is that a Live Nation one?
I think it might be our
You're going to be pleasantly surprised.
I love it.
Anyway, so a lot of fun stuff happening. Every Monday here, we are selling out. We are the AEW of live podcasts. Kill Tony, Mondays, 8 p.m. Live this week, Pauly Shore, the legend killer, born and raised here in this very room. He was born in from the womb of Mitzi Shore, the queen
She
of
laid
stand-up
down right
comedy.
on this table.
It was it. It was this table. And Argus. All right. Anyway. So, yeah, TonyHinchcliffe.com.
Jabroni?
Tonight I'll be performing in the Dave and Buster's
Amazing.
and just at Josh Martin Comic on all the things.
I love it. Eddie?
At I am Eddie Firth on Instagram. Historical Roast Dead Presidents is happening Wednesday, January 29th at 10:30 in the Belly Room. We're roasting all the dead American presidents. Brad Williams is going to be there. Brian Moses, Matt O'Brien. We've got an incredible show, so get your tickets now.
Follow me on the Instagram at Chris_please. I'm going to go hang out with Ari Shaffir this weekend in Atlanta on Saturday. So if you're around Atlanta, you want to talk about wrestling, find me. Other than that, never forget Store Horsemen, your hookup. Holla if you hear us.